My garden is in Ermington, New South Wales, on a main road. I wanted to have a garden that was viewable from the street. I thought it was very important with this garden was I wanted to have a sense of community with the garden. I wanted other people to really look at it and go, that's a nice garden, and it cheers their day up as well as mine. Hello, my name's Andrew Price. I'm a professional gardener. I've been doing it my whole life, ever since I was a child. I worked after school in nurseries. I was an apprentice at Botanic Gardens for many years, and then went off and started my own business. This is the Quisqualis vine that I've had in this garden since I started, and I'd never tire of that perfume. My garden, I don't like to confine it to any particular style, as it has a lot of influences with a lot of the architects and designers I've worked with over my whole life, and it's always evolving. Say the back garden, I'd say, is more tropical. The front garden is a mixture of natives and cactus and succulents, so I suppose you could say it's got everything, pretty much, that I can grow. Colour is very important in this front garden. I've chosen a lot of my favourite colours, which is oranges, pinks, reds. There's things in flower at different times of the year in that colour palette. There's this, at the moment we've got the Asclepias, which I grew from seed. We've got the crucifix orchids that are in flower now. We've got this agave that flowered in spring, and so it's finished, but it still looks pretty, so I've left it. Now we've got another flower bud coming on for next season. The way I've shaped the back garden is, there's a French term that I love is trompe-l'oeil, which is to fool the eye. Now this is quite a small garden, but I try and make it look big. A very important thing about looking after a garden is pruning, and edges is how you define a space. The textures of this garden, it's sort of in a yellow colour palette, in foliage colour. So we've got the variegated Schefflera, we've got the Sansevieria, Trifassicata, we've got Justica, Brangiana, and we've got the variegated Dracaena. So you sort of see it's got this yellow. I've put it here just to make this area really bright. But I've got to make sure that I keep an edge, because this, this line is really important. It needs to have a lovely sort of swoop that gives the garden a nice depth. I started doing aquarium work about 20 years ago. What I learned through cultivating plants artificially is it gives me a very big respect for natural light patterns, for all the different things that happen in the seasons. All plants, they're phototropic organisms, they need the sun. And we use lights and we try to imitate the sun. With this tank, I do a lot of work to ensure that the plants are actively photosynthesizing. It means they're producing air bubbles. And you can see the air's floating up, so they're literally taking that light and turning it into oxygen. The biggest difference between this aquarium and most other aquariums is there's no gravel. The plants are actually growing in little pots. One of the beauties of having the plants in containers is you have the ability to range composition however you like. Along the front here, this is a Nubus. It's a plant that grows on rocks in Africa, around the Nile, in the tropics. It normally grows on rocks and twigs, but what I've grown them in these drainage cells because I wanted to grow it nice and flat against the bottom of the tank. And plus it makes it very easy to take them out, work on them, clean them up and put them back in. We'll just clean up and have a look and see how it's all settling in. So you can see there's this leaf here that's got a little bit of algae. It's, dead. And there's a lot of new growth around it, so it's doing very well. You can see the cell, the plant's starting to colonise the cell. You can see the tile. It creates that weight ballast, which makes sure that it sinks. This plant in the middle here, it's the Madagascan lace plant. It primarily grows underwater, normally in areas of pretty decent flow, like in streams. That's why the leaves have holes in it so that there's no resistance. And it's a very beautiful plant I just repotted it. I'm growing it in a little glass container, and I've had this plant for about 2.5, getting on to 3 years now. Another plant in this aquarium that I'm really quite fond of is this reed-like plant at the back here. It's called Cyperus helferi, and it's a nutgrass. So we have like weed that we get rid of, and this is actually a really great aquatic plant. It's quite long, beautiful thin leaves. They have a lot of textural variance, so you can make a dark tank. You can brighten it up just with a few light greens, and you know, makes it pop. With aquariums, cleaning it, changing the water is really important, and because there's no gravel, siphoning it out is really easy. I use a hose. You can see there's a bit of detritus at the bottom there. The way it goes. There you go, and this water is perfect for the plants in the garden. I do this garden for me. To me, having a garden is vital for your health, or your mental well-being. It's something that gives you grounding, and there's memories. So there's people that think that gardening is superficial or something that you do it as an ego statement. I would challenge that and say that everybody should have a garden. Be it an aquarium or a plant, there needs to be some connection with nature.